Hi there, everybody. Welcome. It is Tuesday, and as always, we are here in Eufaula with the Eufaula Area Arts Council, and we are sponsoring the weekly series Eufaula Artalks. And you know, we've had some really great guests over the last few weeks, months actually, and we have a lot of people lined up even throughout the end of the year. So join us every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. And as you know, I am Selina Jayne Dornan, and I am your host and a board member of the Eufaula Area Arts Council. And this is just one of the projects that we started this year just to help out our artists that were affected by the COVID. And it's just become a fun project. We're able to learn a lot of different things. We've had a lot of different artists that represented many different mediums within the art culture. So today I have a treat for you, and this is a whole different art form. I have somebody that has lived in Eufaula for a while now. I think was a transplant, but came here for our beautiful waters. And you're going to meet somebody who you may not even know is a celebrity in his own right, not in his own mind, but maybe sometimes that too. He's a hilarious guy, love him to death. He has been a guest on the David Letterman show. He was the star of a series, and we're going to talk about more of that and kind of get some of the behind the scenes questions answered. But anyway, no more talking. I want to introduce you to my friend Jerry Ryder. Turn it around there. Hey Jerry, how are you? Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
This is really exciting because we've had a beautiful view of Lake Eufaula behind you. Oh my goodness, hold on. As always, hold on. Hear me. Now I'm sure they were picking me up because I was close to the camera, but hey guys, this is live. There's always something happening.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen on live. So hopefully, if Glenna, if you're listening, can you hear pretty good now? We are at the lake, and it is a little bit windy, so bear with us, but I think that we should have sound now, and hopefully they heard my intro. So Jerry, you have been, I guess mostly known as the #1 noodler of Oklahoma, right? And now people may not think of noodling as an art, you know, I mean, but it's an art. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. There's a lot of, I think, even a natural talent. What do you think about that?
To stay safe doing it, yeah, you have to, there's quite a bit goes into it. I learned by myself. No one taught me how to noodle. I just got in the water one day and found a fish and caught it and pulled it out. And I've been doing that since I was 7 years old. So actually 57 years I've been noodling.
Wow.
And I'm one of the oldest noodlers around. But I've been, it started out being a hobby. And I think I kind of turned it into an art form because I wasn't just catching catfish like everybody else. And I wasn't just going in the summertime like everybody else. I was going in spring, summer, winter, and fall. I was getting a wetsuit and going underneath the ice in the wintertime.
Wow.
And most noodlers don't do that, but I'd do anything to catch a fish. And so I've been doing it for so many years that it is kind of an art form if you do it right. And you pick your prey. It's almost like hunting and fishing combined, because you have to hunt for the fish before you can catch them. It's not like with a rod and reel. You have to hunt for them, but you just put a line out there and catch them. You have to go find the fish, find where they're hiding at, and dig them out of the holes that they're in. So it's kind of like hunting and fishing in the same thing. So
yeah.
That's what I like about it the most.
Wow. So what started you out in noodling?
I was, like I said, I was 7, and I had a whole bunch of fishing poles on a dock, and I wasn't catching any fish. I could see them down there, but they weren't biting anything. And I had worms and liver and shrimp and everything, and I kept putting it down there, and I couldn't get anything to bite. So I could see them, and I thought, well, maybe I can just get down there and grab one. So I slipped off in the water and got down, and the first thing I did was grab a hold of a carp. Big carp, and I threw him up on the bank, and I thought, well, that was fun. And then I sat there for about an hour and still wasn't catching anything on these rods. So I got down there and I caught another one, and then another one, and another one.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, this is easy. And so I looked over here at this big pile of fish I had laying on the bank, these carp, and these fishing poles still sitting over here not catching any fish. So I thought, well, I don't need these poles. So I just quit fishing with a rod and reel. For about 10 years, I never used a rod and reel.
Wow.
I just got in and caught them by hand. And I really thought I invented it. I didn't know anybody else did that. I thought that I was the only one that was doing it. And then come to find out, I'd go down the river catching fish, and I'd find other people doing it.
Yeah.
So it was, it was just something that came natural to me.
Yeah,
and
I think you perfected it. I think you perfected the art, and you helped to bring the awareness to it more than it, had been. And I mean, obviously, you were invited to come onto the David Letterman, and you had to show him or teach him how to noodle. Was that the whole concept?
They set a swimming pool up on stage, and of course went to New York and had the whole smear there. We got up and we had my wife and I, we rode in a limo all the way, and stretched limo with a wet bar and everything all over New York for 3 days.
Wow.
And while I was on Letterman, and so I got to see the Big Apple, and something I'd never done before. Here's no river fishing, little old river rat in New York. Well, they set a swimming pool up on stage and had me go in and pull them out. And I was on the show at the same night as Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, wow.
So Arnold came to my dressing room to meet me. He wanted to see what kind of fish. He wanted to see who was going to catch those fish on the stage. They brought him out there and showed him the fish, and he said, I've got to meet this guy. So they brought him to my dressing room, and we met. And Channel 4 in Oklahoma City got video of it, of Arnold and I talking and stuff. And he said,
cool.
The funniest thing, I always thought this was the funniest thing, was he said, well, I don't know how you do this. He says, because I can't even hold on to a dead fish. And we got out there and started talking, and I showed him how, and he was impressed with it. He says, well, I didn't know people did this.
Wow.
And he said, why do you do it? I said, well, it's for, I did it for the fun of it, for the excitement, for the adrenaline rush. But I said, it's also done for survival.
Yeah.
I said, people do it to survive,
right.
Because if money didn't mean anything and you couldn't get food, I can still get in the water and pull out a meal anytime I need to.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. So tell us about Letterman. What was he like?
Pretty much like he sounds, and David's a character. He's a real character. He came out and he wanted to make fun of me, but Morty, his producer, told me, he said, if you can do anything to embarrass David, try to do it.
Oh!
So I thought, okay, what can I do? So I thought, well, I'll get in the swimming pool. And the first thing I did was, when he was supposed to take the fish, I was going to catch the fish in the swimming pool, and we were going to give them to him, and then he was going to put them in a tank. Well, the tank was sitting right beside the pool. Well, he'd come over, and just as soon as he reached over to grab the fish that I had in my hand, I picked up the tail with just about a gallon of water in the tail, and went right up his nose with it.
Oh, no!
And David fell backward and tripped and fell over the set. And everybody was clapping, the audience was screaming, they thought it was hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
Because I got David. Then I threw the water up in the air, and it hit a light and blew out a light.
Oh no.
And Morty just was sitting there like this to me, saying, hey, you're doing a great job, you can tear up the set, do it. So and of course, David didn't know what to expect from me.
Yeah.
He was expecting just anybody coming up, and he didn't really know a guy that can catch 50-pound catfish with his hands. How do I react to him? So,
yeah.
but I told him
Wow.
right off the bat. I says, if you make fun of this, I said, I'm really serious about it. But if you make fun of it, I'm going to get you wet. Well, he made fun of it. Said something about, well, they're kind of they're not exactly fast swimming fish like you find in Colorado and stuff like that. They're kind of slow, aren't they, from Oklahoma?
Oh, God.
I said, all right. I said, David, you're going to get it. So I gave it to him.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So.
Well, during your noodling years, did you ever have any missing fingers or hand? Or
Oh, all the time. Snake bit, turtle bit, barbed wire, jump on hot wires, crossing rivers and stuff, water get too high, catch a fish, and then the river take me down this, it'd be a block or so before I could get out with the fish. Be swimming with one arm with the fish on the other arm.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff like that happened. Got caught up in a hole, broke some ribs, had a brush pile fall down on my ribs and crush my ribs.
Oh my gosh.
There was fish in there, and I wasn't about to let them go, so I got in there, and the brush pile fell on me, and I got out, but I skint everything up all the way to my nose getting out, and then I got trapped one time. I was up in a hole in the bank, and I had my whole body in there, and the bank caved in on me and fell down and pulled me into the water, and I just barely get my nose up enough to breathe until I could finally dig my way out.
Wow.
I've cheated death. I can't tell you how many times I've cheated death doing the noodling and stuff like that. So it can be dangerous, but if you know what you're doing and you watch what you're doing and stuff, because I never took anybody with me. I always went by myself until I married. I didn't take anybody with me, and then my wife Missy would go with me.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that you should take somebody with you. I had no fear of anything.
Yeah. Well, show your fingers. You still have all your fingers.
I have all my fingers.
Maybe not your toes, but
I do have one here that's kind of cut off a little bit. But that's from a rattlesnake bite.
Oh.
That was one time when I was rattlesnake hunting.
Oh, well,
yeah.
we're gonna talk about your snakes a little bit, because that's another thing I know that you like to handle. But before we go on, I think we need to just do a little bit of an explanation on David Letterman, because a lot of our young people, they probably don't know who that is. We're dating ourselves here, but he's a talk show host, similar to, who is our big ones now? Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel, yeah. But David Letterman's back in Johnny Carson days. And, but all the talk show hosts now have been replaced. Like David Letterman and Johnny Carson, all them have been
Jay
replaced
Leno,
with
that's
Jimmy
a lot
Kimmel
of
and all those.
So
and Jay Leno.
Yeah.
And so they've been all replaced, and then all the old talk show hosts have retired. So David retired not too many years ago.
Wow. Well, I thought we better just clear that out. People are like, "Who's David Letterman?" No.
Yeah, that's right. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
some
fun.
Well, kids really don't know. So
let's talk about your TV series you did. That was you were on a TV series, or was it?
The first
would it be
one
considered episodic? I don't know.
Well, the first one I did was
live television.
Yeah, it was Okie Noodlin'.
Okie Noodlin'.
That was the very first thing we shot. It took about 2 months to shoot it, and it was Brad Beasley was the producer of it, and then we had several camera guys go around, follow us around, and would film us catching fish out of the rivers and stuff. And then we decided to do a tournament. It was actually, my idea was Okie Noodlin' tournament. I suggested, well, we have Bassmasters. Why don't we have a catfish tournament?
Yeah.
So that's when Okie Noodlin' started, and in fact we started it. That was the very first year of it.
Yeah.
And it's been going on ever since. So and that was that's 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So so the tournaments, and then of course everybody started having tournaments after that. They had them in Tishomingo, they had them in Tahlequah, they had them, everybody all over the place started them, and then other states started opening up. When I first started doing this, there was only 4 states that noodling was legal in. And Oklahoma was one of them, yeah. Just right around this area was where the states that it was legal. And now there's over 16 states, I think. It was 12, now I think there's like 16 states that it's legal in. So we opened up all these states for noodling since they found out that it's not doing damage to the fish. In fact, it's conservation, and we're actually taking some of the bigger ones out to allow some of the smaller ones to grow. So there's a lot of conservation to it.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Yeah. So then from that show, it went to the Mudcats. Is that what it was called?
Yeah. Then we did a show, Mudcats. That was back in 2010. Around in there, we did 6 weeks of shooting, and 12. And we did 12. Well, we did 12 weeks because we did 12 shows. But I didn't make it all the way to the end of that one. I had heat exhaustion. We were noodling in 100. It was like 105 to 110 degree weather.
Wow. And
down in the rivers where I was noodling, because I was walking all day long, every day. I didn't have a boat. Most of these guys had boats to go out on, but I didn't. I was walking, and I was carrying 1 bottle of hot water with me every day. And I just wasn't drinking enough water. I even drank out of the river a few times. I was so thirsty. But I ended up with heat exhaustion. In Oklahoma City, we were up in North Canadian, the west side of North Canadian River, on the other side of Oklahoma City, and I went down in the river. They called the helivac in. They came in and flew down on the river and picked me up and took me to the hospital with heat exhaustion. And I had to cancel the rest of the show because I couldn't finish it because I was so.
Well, people don't realize that any type of show, even like that, and that they're shooting it live, but also that the pace is very fast. They don't let up. There's just a lot of.
Oh, we wrecked a helicopter. One of our helicopters, the guy who was doing the helicopter shots ran into one of the telephone lines and went down on the highway and slid off into the road and onto a fence on the side of the road. Yeah.
Yeah. You never know what to expect.
You never know what's going to happen during those. But some of that stuff never makes it to the. It gets cut on the edit when they're editing it.
Now, I think you might have said earlier that the largest catfish you ever caught was 50 pounds.
No, I've caught 50 pounders easy, but the biggest one I ever caught, I didn't put on a scale. So I never did weigh them, because back then when I was young, I never did weigh my fish. I didn't even think about weighing them. And I never even took pictures of most of them because I never thought about doing that either. I just catching them to eat mostly. But I did get a hold of one time, and I pulled him out, and I know I didn't put him on a scale, but seeing some of the ones that I've seen since then, I'm guessing he was about 75, maybe close to 80 pounds.
Really? Wow.
And
we had Holly Lackey White is watching, and she was asking what's the largest that you had pulled out. So
I'd say about 75, 80 pound fish.
Wow.
Yeah, he was according to some that I've caught. I actually caught 2 fish at one time. I pulled one out from under a log that weighed about 20 pounds, and then another one that weighed about 18 pounds.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's
I had
double
one in one hand, one in the other hand, and I walked out with 2 fish that day and stuff.
That's funny.
And Missy actually got it on video. In fact,
oh wow!
In fact, I think it's on here.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, I want to just talk about a couple more things. We're about to go a little long here, but we were talking about how this is an art in its own self.
Yes.
But I also know that you have been involved in a lot of art. You've been involved with the council, and we always appreciate everything that you've done for us and with us. You've been involved with theater, and that seems to be kind of a side passion for you and Missy.
Love theater.
And you worked a lot behind the scenes, but I know Missy, your wife, has done some directing,
Right.
and she has done
She
some
directed. I
choreographer.
did technical. I did
But
lights and
she's
sound.
dragged you onto the stage, so
Yeah.
you've also become actor.
I did several shows. I did Best Little Whorehouse in Texas was one of them. I played 4 parts in that show. Not to mention I built the set and did the sound and lights. So I was pretty active in that one.
Now tell me about your dancing experience.
Missy actually is a dance teacher, and she taught me to tap dance. So we did a show called Steppin' Out with, and it was at one time it was, I can't even think. Liza Minnelli did it. She did the opening part. She did the lead part.
Yeah.
But there was one guy, 7 women and 1 guy in the show.
Oh.
And I was that one guy.
That's funny.
And it was an adult class, dance class. That's how it was. The show was about an adult dance class where we were supposed to learn how to dance, and which I don't know if we ever did or not. But we're supposed to tap dance. We had to do a tap number in the end and stuff. So Missy taught all of us to tap dance.
Oh, how fun!
And to use a cane and a hat and all that.
Well,
So-
you were involved with us when we did the first production with the Arts Council called You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And
Yes.
you and Missy came to my rescue and helped do the technical part of it, and we always did appreciate that. So,
Oh, I loved it. I always loved it.
well, I have to ask you about your snakes, because if I don't, then yeah, I know that's kind of a hobby of yours.
Well, people run over snakes all the time.
Yeah.
And I used to collect the hides off the highways, and any place I'd find one that the hide was still good, and I learned to tan out the hides, and so I made things out of them. So I made my own billfold.
Wow.
This is a rattlesnake here. I make knife scabbards. I make lighter cases. I used to make earrings for women. I'd make rattlesnake earrings. I'd make bracelets. Belts. I've had many snake belts that I've made, and so I just, anytime I had a hide that was left over, and of course I've always worked with snake hides and bones and feathers and anything I could hot glue to something. I'd make anything, something, try to make something pretty to hang on the wall or to wear.
Yeah.
So yeah, the hides, I've been doing that for so long, and then I become a nuisance wildlife control operator, and I catch snakes out from under houses and
that's cool.
for people. When they call, they have trouble with snakes, they call me to come and take care
Who
of
are you
them.
going to call?
Yeah,
Jerry Ryder.
Who you gonna call? Somebody's got to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, just briefly, I know that recently you've had some health scares, some health issues, and
I did.
we're really happy to see you out here. We decided to do it outside because with your illness, it does cause a little bit of trouble with your breathing and that sort of thing. And but no better place than to be sitting right here on Lake Eufaula. You have the lake behind you.
I love it here.
And we have a nice breeze today. But tell us a little bit about what has been ailing you.
Well, I developed a disease. It's an autoimmune disease called MG. It's myasthenia gravis, and it's an autoimmune disease where your muscles are disconnected from your nerves.
Wow.
And and it's very serious, and it's very permanent. I'll never get over it. I have to take a lot of medicine. I'm taking like 56 pills a day for it. But it keeps me on my feet. And I went into crisis last year, and I spent 7 weeks on a ventilator, and almost died because it was just so bad. But then I came out of it, and now I'm getting strong again.
That's awesome.
And I'm feeling better. And now that we know what I have and what was causing it and how to contain it, I feel good.
That's
I
good.
feel good. In fact, I'm hoping to get back and catch some more fish.
There you go. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this up, but I want you to go ahead and hold that up. We were talking earlier that you made a video, and I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit. If anyone is interested, these are for sale, and you can contact just contact us down at the Arts Council, and we can get the information to you, or we can post it there on our council. Anything you want to talk about on this video?
It's just my wife and I filmed this about. It was back in the 80s we started filming it. And I was hoping to get it announced on David Letterman when I went on there in 1990. But at the time I didn't have the copyright, and I wasn't allowed to announce it without a copyright. So I didn't get a chance. But that's one of the reasons why I went on there, was kind of hoping to be able to announce that I had a video out.
Right.
So, but I've sold them over the years and everything, and I've probably given them more away than I've sold.
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
But it's you know, it's one that I made, and it shows me noodling in the spring, summer, winter, and fall, and then of course in the back I catch turtles. And these two turtles were I caught. Whenever I would clean fish, I would throw all the remains to these turtles, and they would eat them and clean them up. So I didn't have to. They were like my garbage disposal. And I named them Siskel and Ebert.
Oh my goodness!
They were kind of noodling critics, because both of them bit me. That's why they went home.
Oh no!
That's why they went home with me. So,
well, we appreciate you being here today, and you're looking great, and we're going to wish you all the best with your health and everything else. And hey, we do want to see you out there again, and we also want to maybe do some more theater. So
yeah, I would love that.
To get out and about, and you know, I have to ask this question as we close the show, because I ask all our guests this. But what is your definition of art?
Of art, you know, I've thought about this a lot, actually. You've heard the term Occam's razor. It's the simplest thing tends to be the right thing, and so this is a simple answer to it. I think art is something that you learn how to do and do well, and you love it. And if you love it, other people will too.
There you go. Simplest
way I can say that of art.
That's wonderful. I think that's beautiful. Thank you, Jerry. Oh, did you hear that fish? They're saying, come get me.
I'm coming to get you.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Appreciate you being here with us today. And hey, here's to noodling.
Okay, thank you very much, Selina.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.